Hi guys, I'm here today to do my wrap up of reading in 2017. I'm a bit of a static mess. I do apologise if I look like I haven't brushed my hair in a year. I'm just very static today apparently, and it's been driving me absolutely nuts. So first of all, my challenge was set at 50 books this year. Well, I should say last year. And unfortunately I did not make my challenge. I read 45 books, which isn't far off, but obviously I didn't achieve a goal, which is kind of sad, but at the same time I'm not too upset about it because I still was close to what I wanted and I still read a lot of books, and a lot of the books that I read I really enjoyed. I haven't really got much negative to say about the year at all really. My average rating was 4.2 stars, so obviously I enjoyed most of what I read. It's the best average rating I've ever had for a year in reading, which is good. I did get a bit slumpy in the middle of the year, and I don't fully blame the books. I blame, like, I think we all get into these moments where we don't really know why we're slumping, but we're there. I also went on a lot of trips and things, and I kind of just neglected reading. I was away and I just kind of thought I don't need to read, whatever. I just wasn't very good, basically. I was a bit naughty. So yeah, if I had read to the level that I was reading last year, I probably would have hit this goal, but oh well. I also completed quite a few longer books, which is good. Means that hopefully next year's list to be read won't be as intimidating, but I know I've got some bigger books to go in still, so for next year, well for this year should I say, it's 2018 now, I have set my reading challenge for 40 books, so hopefully I can beat that and get back on track and have as good of a read as I did in 2016, because I read, I think it was 63 books that year, and that's the best reading year I've ever had, so I'd like to get on that level again. So like I said, I read 45 books, and that was 19,475 pages. So even though I didn't read so many books, I feel like I still read quite a good amount of pages for the year. It's definitely a high number. It's very close to the number that I read last year, so I didn't do badly. I think, like I say, if I'd have just kept up with myself, I could have easily achieved my goal. I read 6 volumes of manga, and they were a mixture of Rurouni Kenshin and Arata the Legend. If you're interested in manga, those are the 2 series that I am currently making my way through. I think they're all the stats I've got, actually. Yes, they're all my stats. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that I tell you exactly how I did in the year. So yeah, it wasn't a bad year, it just wasn't my best. Last year I did a lot better and I should really be improving, but never mind. The rest of my life has improved. It's not because I've been having a bad time or anything, don't worry, I'm okay. I've just been enjoying my life too much apparently to read. So let's get into the things that people are interested in. My top 3 best and top 3 worst reads of the year. So in 3rd place for best read of 2017, I've technically got 2 books here, but I'm kind of counting them as one, and that is Stars Above and Fairest by Marissa Meyer, and I'm basically just, because it's the lunar world, and if you guys saw my video for last year, you know that I fell in love with the Lunar Chronicles and I just wanted to read everything from that world, and I have done now, and I was happy with these books. I absolutely flew through them and I have literally no complaints. I gave them both 5 stars, so they are my 3rd best read from last year. I keep saying this year, I can't keep track apparently of the fact that it's changed years. So yeah, that's that one. Number 2, I have spoke about quite a bit on this channel about how I am very excited to continue on with this series. I was obsessed with this first book, and that is And I Darken by Kirsten White. This is a oh my goodness, I've lost it. This is a fantasy. This is a fantasy telling of Vlad the Impaler. That's what I'm trying to remember. I'm so sorry. I just absolutely was out of it there. Yeah, you can tell I've been at work since 6 o'clock this morning. This is a retelling of Vlad the Impaler, and it follows our main character and her brother, and kind of how different they are and how they've reacted to what's going on in the times. I don't want to spoil anything. I want you to just read it. Just pick it up, read it and fall in love with it, please. But yeah, this is my second best read, obviously 5 stars. And then the number one read, the best read that I had in 2017 is quite obvious if you know me, if you've watched me talk about anything to do with this series, and actually was spoiled for you in my last yearly video. That is The Invasion of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. I am obsessed with this trilogy and I can't wait to finally get round to The Fate of the Tearling. It's so close on my TBR, so maybe that'll be the top read for next year. But yeah, I just love this world. I absolutely adore it. This is the follow-up to The Queen of the Tearling, and we follow a girl who is coming into age and realising that she has to rule a kingdom. She's actually a queen, but she hasn't been raised as a princess or a queen, so she has to learn everything from scratch. And we follow her world, it's a fantasy world, and we follow more characters as the series develops, and more gets revealed about this world that Kelsey's living in. And I don't want to spoil anything, but read this, please. I love this series so far, and I'm hoping that The Fate of the Tearling is going to be as good. Please let that be like in my top 3 for next year. Then on to my worst 3. So it wasn't really that they are bad. All these books were actually 3-star reads, but I didn't read anything under 3-star in 2017, which I can't believe, because usually I have some book that I need to absolutely slag off. But no, apparently I was a lot happier of a reader with what I actually did read in 2017. So the first book I have to show is a retelling as well, and that is Stealing Snow by Danielle Page. Like I said, I gave this 3 reads. It was just very average. It was a little bit disappointing because I was really up on my retellings kick at the point I picked this up, so I was really excited that I was going to fall in love with a Snow Queen retelling, but it just wasn't to be. I don't even really know what I didn't like about it. It was just very meh, and it's not a bad book, and if I get the sequel, if I find it for cheap, or if someone gives me it or whatever, I will read it happily. I won't just get rid of it. So yeah, we'll see how we go with this one, but sadly that is my 3rd worst read. And then the second one is one I mentioned actually in my last haul, and that is Ice Like Fire by Sarah Rush. So the first book in this series started quite strong, and then this one was kind of a disappointment in comparison to that first book. I only gave this 3 stars, whereas I gave the first one 4. It was a bit slow, and not in the way that I enjoy, because I can really enjoy a slow read. I mean, I've just showed you The Invasion of the Tearling as my number 1 read. But this was just slow as in I felt like nothing happened for quite a while, and I was kind of just reading and not taking anything in. So that's why I got 3 stars, because the bits that I remembered I really liked, but it was just a bit hit and miss. So I'm hoping that the last book in the series will pick up, because I'm still very interested in this series. This is a fantasy series that follows kingdoms that represent different seasons, and our main character is from the winter season. So yes, I'd like to know how it ends, so obviously I've got the 3rd book and I'm going to find out, and hopefully that will bring this series back up, and it might just be that the second book was a bit of a dud. We'll see. Let me know if you've read it, if you think that the 3rd book was better than the second one. And then my number 1 worst read, number 1, like it's a good thing, I don't actually have anymore, I don't own it, I unhauled it, and it wasn't because I hated it, it's just that it was a book that I wasn't interested in continuing the rest of the series. I think I would have enjoyed it if I'd have read it when I was younger, and that was Tempest. I think that's by Julie Cross. It's like a time travel story, and I had it in hardback as well, which doesn't help because I don't like hardback paperback books, but I got it for £1, so I was willing to give it a try, and I thought if I'm obsessed enough with the series, I'll just buy the rest of the books in that edition, it's fine. But I wasn't, so I've just got rid of it because I'm not going to spend my money on more expensive books when I wasn't too bothered about the series. Like I say, it wasn't bad, it was just very average. It was a 3-star read again. I found it really easy to read, but I just think I might be a bit old for that story. Like, this is the problem with being in your late 20s and still clinging on to YA, is that sometimes you can completely enjoy a world and read it fine, and then other times you feel old, and that was kind of one of those cases. I think when there's a lot of high school involved, because these places, they usually set in like American schools, so it's a high school, not a secondary school, so it kind of, I think that's when I start to feel a bit old, when everyone's talking about school all the time. Obviously I love all sorts of books that have got schools in, but I think when it's not a key element of the story but it's there, I think that's when it becomes a problem for me. I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes I just feel old and that I'm reading a teenager's point of view and I can feel it's very teenage, and I'm definitely not anymore, which is terrifying. So yeah, anyways, that's my weird rant about the books that I loved and not so much loved, because it's not hated, this in the last calendar year, 2017. And then, because I did it last time, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to show you the book that I'm currently reading, which will be the first read I have of 2018. And that is The Scarecrow Queen by Melinda Salisbury. And this is kind of like how I just said with Ice Like Fire. The second book in this series, The Sleeping Prince, wasn't as good as the first book, The Sin Eater's Daughter. And I'm hoping that this will kind of go back to the level that I really enjoyed, because I actually gave that first book 5 stars and then the second one 3. So I'm hoping that this will rescue the series a little bit for me. And this is a fantasy trilogy, and it follows, well, I really can't tell you what happens in this, because this is a spoiler, because it all changes. So in the first book you follow a girl who is a Sin Eater's daughter, and she lives in the palace with the royal family because she is the royal executioner. And I will leave it at that. I really enjoyed the first book, but it seems to be very polarising, so give it a read for yourself, don't just take my word for it, I guess. And I'm hoping that this book can help me enjoy the series a bit more again, and hopefully I'll have another 5-star read to begin the year, but no promises. So yes, that is how I've done in my reading in the last year. Let me know how you've done. Did you get your challenge? Did you set yourself a challenge? Did you find some new favourites? Or did you find something you absolutely hated? Let me know and we'll chat about it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!